It's good, y'all, man. It's your boy Retro back at it again. So in today's video, I'm gonna be showing you guys how to mix vocals using stock plugins in FL Studio. If you want to achieve vocals that sound bright, vocals that are nicely audible and compressed, and vocals that are spacey, and also vocals that do not overcrowd the instrumental or the entire mix, this is a tutorial you need to watch. So like and subscribe. Let's get it. So this is our song, as you guys heard in the preview. So I'm gonna give you guys another preview so you can kind of gauge what we're going for here. So here's how it sounds. Over, I say oh her, you know all these drugs on my mind, put them all on side, stack up on that money, put it all aside. Yeah, that's sounding fire. I like that. So the first thing I did when making this song was throwing this type beat. So this type beat is called Sprite, made by this producer called Zach, and then I just freestyled all over it, and then I mixed and mastered it, as you guys can see. So I'm gonna give you guys a preview of how the vocals sound without the effects. Over, I say oh her, you know. Incredibly quiet and unnoticeable. That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna change so you guys can gauge what we're trying to achieve here. So let me go ahead and mute all of these. I'm gonna be explaining step by step what each plugin does, what its function in the song, and all of that, you know. I'm gonna be explaining all of that to you guys, but let me quickly take care of this. Okay, that's done. There we go. So the first thing I did when making this song after recording the vocals was tune my vocals using this auto tune effects. I understand that this may be out of the context of the instrumental, no, of the tutorial, excuse me guys, but what I didn't want to do was add in the pitcher because it does not work well with my vocal and it kind of confuses me sometimes. So I use this auto-tune effects as an alternative. So the first thing that you must do is actually figure out what key your beat is in. So for this I used Auto Key 2 by Antares also, and then I just play the beat. I want you guys to listen to it. It says F sharp major or E B minor, but instead the correct key was actually G sharp minor. I guess they are all equivalent to each other. Doesn't matter. So I threw the key in, cranked up the retune speed and the humanizer knob all the way up, and this is how the vocals sound with the auto key or the auto tune. Over, I say oh her, you know all these drugs on my mind, put them all on side, stack up on that money. I kinda like that robotic sound, but the humanizer also humanizes it a little bit so that it doesn't sound fully robotic. So once you have that, what you want to do next is add compression. So for this we're gonna use the fruit limiter. Just hop over here on the compression tab and then crank the threshold to where you prefer it, you know, and then decrease the knee up, and then I usually turn the ratio all the way up, but for this one I used the 2:3:1 ratio. It sounded nice, and then what I did next is I cranked up this gain so it can be nice and loud. As a result, the vocal was more audible, and all of the all of the sibilants were audible, equally audible, I guess. So the vocal was well compressed. This is how it sounds. Over, I say oh ha, you know, all these drugs on my mind, put them all on side, take up on that money, put it all aside, before we choose to fly. I like that. And then what I do next, after I heard that, is mess with the EQ. As you guys can see, I deduct the highs a little bit, boost the mids and the bass a lot, because I don't want my vocal to sound weak in this song, so I kind of wanted to have some of that bass present in it. So this is how the lead sounds with the EQ. Over, I say oh ha, you know, all these drugs on my mind, put them all on side, take up on that money, put it all aside, before we choose to fly, we might run out of time. And then once I have that, I add another EQ. So for this one, I only focus on the highs and the high mids, and then I crank them up a bit. This is how it sounds with the EQ. Over, I say oh ha, you know, all these drugs on my mind, put them all on side, take up on that money, put it all aside. Yeah, it sounds nice and crispy right now. I liked it. And then what I do next is adding this distortion plugin called Fruity Blood Overdrive. And then what I do is crank up the post filter, the pre-band filter. I leave the color and the post gain as they were, and then I cranked up the pre-amplifier a little bit. So what this plugin does is it excites your vocal so that it can have more presence, you know, in the mix, and can be equally audible as the beat. So this is how the vocal sounds with the Fruity Blood Overdrive. Over, I say oh ha, you know, all these drugs on my mind, put them all on side, take up on that money, put it all aside, before we choose to fly, we might run out of time. Yeah, fire. I liked it. And then what I did next is add some quantizer, just to add some more excitement to it. So as you guys can see, I don't crank it all the way up, I just add a little bit. So I'll use the A band, A mode, and then I just crank it up a little bit. So this is how I sound with the sound quantizer. Over, I say oh ha, you know, all these drugs on my mind, put them all on side, take up on that money, put it all aside. You know, the vocal stands out now, I like it. And then what I do next is adding this EQ. So this is kind of the final EQ where I just polish each and every frequency. So as you guys can see, I rolled off a little bit of the basses and the lows, boosted a bit of those low mids and those high mids, and then I subtracted some more of those highs because some were troubling my ear a little bit, so I had to remove them. But this is how the vocal sounds with the new EQ. Over, I say oh ha, you know, all these drugs on my mind, put them all on side, take up on that money, put it all aside, before we choose to fly, we might run out of time. Let's get up on the side of the wall. Then once I have all of that, I begin to sweeten it up, you know, and add those enhancing effects. So I added the fruity delay, I used the 4.0 time, the level I kept it as it is, and I decreased the wetness a little bit. As you guys can see in the In the mixer here, I decreased the output knob right here, which is also the mix level. That is because I've automated the delay in the arrangement. So it is on certain sections of the song, it's cranked up, and then on some it goes back to normal, I guess. But then this is how the vocal sounds with the fruit delay. Over, I say oh her, you know this. It's barely noticeable, I know, but over, I say oh her, you know all this drugs on my mind. Put it over. Now you understand why I had to keep it low as it is. It's because it's becoming troublesome when it's increased. That is why I actually prefer it on the end of the song, so that it can go all out, and go crazy. And then what I do next is adding some reverb. What this reverb does, it gives a little space to the vocal, so that it can actually blend with the beat nice. I don't know why I'm tripping over my words, excuse me guys. But yeah, so as you guys can see, I pulled the dry knob up and the wetness knob up, and then I increased the decay time, and then mess with these high and low cuts. You see, these are parameters here, such as the size, the modulation, the diffusion, and the speed. I leave them as they are. And then what I do next is I also reduce the knob of the mix level. This is how the vocal sound with the reverb. Over, I say oh her, you know all these drugs on my mind. Put them all on side. It blends perfectly. So I don't know if you guys have heard, but there's a part in the song where I've automated the reverb, so you guys may have heard it more. So hold on, let me play it for you guys again. Call it over, I say oh her. So what I did here is I wanted to put the vocal in some sort of a space, and then it sounded nice, so I automated it, and then I let it breathe. And then what I did last was adding a limiter. So for this limiter, I wanted to increase the gain of the entire vocal chain right here. So what I did is I cranked the ceiling all the way to the top, and then I increased the gain of the vocal a little bit. So this is how the vocal sounds. Well, the final vocal, this is how it sounds. Call it over, I say oh her, you know all these drugs on my mind. Put them all on side. That sounds nice, I like it. So I don't know if you guys can see the impact of the compression. All of these are all of the vocals, so all of the words that I'm saying are nice and audible and equal. It's only those parts where I hit the high notes that become like a little bit loud but not troublesome. So I want you guys to never underestimate the power of a compressor. So what I did last was just enhance the vocal using these mixer EQ bands. So I reduced the lows a little bit because my vocal was becoming kind of boomy. I increased the mids a little and the highs. So this is how the vocal sounds all in all. Call it over, I say oh her, you know all these drugs on my mind. Put them all on side. Take up on the money, put it all aside. Before we choose to fly, we might run out of time. Let's get up on the side of the wall. Nice. The vocal sits well on the beat, is on its pace, so it's sounding good for me. But yeah, that's it guys. Mixing vocals in FL using stock plugins. If you guys enjoyed, leave a like, subscribe, do all of that. My name is Retro and I'm gonna catch you guys on the next one. Peace out.
take a wrong turn.